Okay, let's switch over to Colorado and the yeah, that. So coming into the year, I was low on the Buffs. I thought they'd be last in the Pac-12. They look like they are headed in that direction, unfortunately, for Colorado fans who are getting very frustrated. A number of them would like Karl Dorrell to no longer have his job, which is an understandable feeling at this point in time.
Yes.
I was willing to their down year as long as they, maybe a little competitive. And yeah, I only thought they would win one game, but like it's Colorado, and with the new offensive staff, I think you need to give them time. But here's the thing. My preseason record prediction for them was 1-11, which looks like it might be too generous at this point in time, unfortunately, for Buffs fans. I don't know who they're going to beat because I don't think they can score on Cal. I think Arizona's better. I don't know who if they're going to be able to
They
finally
got Arizona State and Boulder.
Oh man, that is a bottom dweller bowl right there.
Dude, I'm telling you, like, I'm not even confident about that game anymore.
No,
really
I don't think that you should be. But I was willing to give Dorrell time with the new offensive staff, but I was also thinking they would be mildly competitive in these games. And yeah, they had a brutal non-conference schedule. TCU at home, at Air Force, at Minnesota. It's tough. Like I expected them to lose all three, but Richie, it's been ugly. It has been, aside from the first half of the TCU game, a game in which they didn't end up scoring a touchdown. It has been, how could it have been worse? They played 3 quarterbacks on Saturday. JT Shrout, I thought, needed to be named the starter. His completion percentage is wildly low. Lewis is not the guy. They don't have answers seemingly anywhere. Nothing has gone right. Is Karl Dorrell going to make it through this season?
I don't think so. I feel like you can't. Like, for what it's worth though, like me and you were trying to do everything to hype him up. For one of our upsets, we were talking about how like you can't sleep on Colorado in Boulder with TCU coming to town, and that didn't work for them.
Week one, like we were saying, like, yeah, week one.
You don't know you're bad yet.
Yeah,
right?
Bad teams don't know they're bad, but Colorado knows they're bad now, and their fans know they're bad.
Yep, they have 3 offensive touchdowns this year. That's 1 a game in a best case scenario. Karl Dorrell is, to say he's not getting it done is one of the biggest understatements you could possibly come up with for college football right now. Like, he just call a spade, as I have said many a times before. He's not a good head coach. He's got 8 wins in 3 years with his time at Colorado. Like you said, it does not look like there's a win on their schedule. Their best chance is probably Arizona State, and that's because it's a home game. Because if you were going to Tempe, I would write them off. But you got to go to Tucson to play U of A, who's revitalized. They look a lot better. You still got USC, you got Utah.
Do they play Cal? Are they at Cal?
I think they are.
I mean, that's a potential win. I know the Bears have actually looked okay so far. I think it's important to remember, even though they're 2-1 and they
got them in Boulder.
Right? They've got Cal in Boulder.
Yeah.
I think that and Arizona State are their only chances to win games this year. And I mean, Arizona is not as ready as people think. They are, progressing well, which is great to see. And you have to feel good for Wildcat fans there in that sense. And I was
nope.
I was about to say, I know Richie does it on a personal level, but Arizona fans, I got your back. I'm happy that they're showing real signs of life, and they get a test this week playing those Cal Bears in Berkeley. But I just don't see it with Colorado. And if you're Karl Dorrell, you have to do a dramatic 180 just to save your job. And you need to at least start competing. I mean, if they play UCLA this week, Bruins are big favorites. UCLA is off to a slow start this year. They're 3-0, sure, but they have not looked sharp. So you have a UCLA team that's coming into your home stadium that is not playing at its best. If you can't even be competitive in that game, and I thought UCLA would be a top 3 team in the Pac-12 this year, looks like they might be middle of the pack, right? Yep. Maybe they can still turn it around, right? They still got those 3 easy wins on the resume and such, but man, Colorado just needs to if Karl Dorrell is going to keep his job, he doesn't necessarily have to win 2, 3, or 4 games here going forward. You just got to be competitive. I mean, they're going into these games. You're playing Air Force and you're getting routed.
Crushed.
You're getting crushed by Air Force, who just lost to Wyoming. Like, that's what I think the Buffs need to see from Dorrell to keep him around after this year, to justify it to their fans who do want to see him let go, is you got to compete.
It's it's a terrible look for Colorado football right now. The expectations for the Buffs are never ever high. And I mean, they had that one magical year a few years ago with like Philip
2016.
Lindsay. Yep.
Yep.
And the quarterback was it
Steven Montez.
Steven Montez, thank you.
Yeah.
That was
Pretty
a
sure,
fun
pretty sure it was
team.
Montez. It might have been the guy before.
No, I'm pretty sure it was Montez. I think
it
you're
was
right.
Montez.
But outside of that, I mean, Buffalo football is consistently bottom feeders in the Pac-12, let alone all of college football, Power 5 and otherwise. And you were hoping that maybe Karl could get you competitive. Similar to Arizona State, the expectations in Boulder are not national championships. It's not even really Pac-12 championships. They want to be bowl eligible, and they're just not. And so much of that falls on the coaching. Similar to Arizona State, they lost a lot in the transfer portal too. Like, no one wants to stay with this program because they're just not going anywhere. They're not even treading water. They are drowning. There are cinder blocks that are tied to their feet, and someone threw them into the Black Sea, and they're just sinking. So it's a bad situation for Colorado. It blows my mind he still has a job. Like, I understand that Herm was the favorite. I don't know how Karl Dorrell was not the favorite, but good for the people who bet on Herm Edwards to be the first Pac-12 coach fired.
Yeah, I think the smart play would have been. I thought Dorrell was a little low on that list. I'm like, David Shaw. No, David Shaw's got a longer
It's
leash than either of these
untouchable, yeah.
guys, and such. And look,
He
you
can come
paint
to
a pretty.
Arizona State. I'll take David Shaw.
Yeah, I think you would, but again, I think Arizona State should aim higher. I think they should use this as an opportunity to rebrand how people perceive them as a football program, because I think an 8-9 win season is what people see as the best they could do.
Right.
But it's not the case. Todd Graham had 2 10-win seasons, and I think Arizona State can be a Pac-12, at least appear in the Pac-12 championship game. And if they build a program that's successful for several years, yeah, I could see them winning the Pac-12. And I don't feel that way about every school, by the way. Colorado, Cal, most notably. I'm like, I don't see how that can happen. And Arizona is also several years away. But you paint a dark picture, but it is dark times in Boulder for the Buffs, and ASU has got their coaching search underway. I suppose they're examining candidates. You know who we want, and we'll continue to discuss. Richie Bradshaw, Locked On Sun Devils, at Richie Brads with a Z36 on Twitter. Check out his show on YouTube wherever you listen to your podcasts. My friend, it's great to talk to you as always. And like I said at the start of the show, I am so here for a coaching vacancy. I love them. They're fascinating, and we'll continue to cover them.
Yep.
Thanks, man.
And yeah, as always, I appreciate you coming on. For what it's worth, a quick little plug is Spencer is going to be coming on Locked On Sun Devils sometime this week. I'm thinking either probably like Wednesday-ish is what I'm thinking. And we're going to continue our conversation for the Herm Edwards search and whatnot. So make sure that you're subscribing over to Locked On Pac-12 and check us out too for all the Herm Edwards talking the whole wide world.
Yep, we are going to continue to bring it. I appreciate everyone listening. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you next time.